नमस्कार आयच्या या खाशेल्या कार्यावळीत तुमकां सगळ्याक येवकार. We have a very special guest today with us. We have CEO of Tangentia, Mr. Vijay Thomas from Toronto, and we are going to simply talk about the changing world, the role technology has in it, and most importantly, how does it look from there. So Vijay, welcome to the show. Let me start with a very simple question. How is it in Canada, and how is the world looking from there?
Thank you very much, Pramod, for having me on this show. From Canada, and again, I'm Gonkaruj. Okay,
Yeah.
I run a business in Goa. So, I was just telling
Yes.
your colleague, I travel quite a bit between Goa and Toronto. And of late, I have not been able to travel this is probably the longest time in the last 10 years that I haven't been to Goa. But I think, staying in Toronto, and also having a ear to the ground in what is happening in Goa gives, I think, a very good perspective. So, I'll just go back to when this started. Beginning of March, I was actually in Goa. We actually had a quiz competition in Goa, and then I left India on the 13th of March. Now, at that time in India, it seemed like everything was normal. I landed in Toronto on 13th of March, which was a Friday. And then my wife told me that they're not going to go to work anymore. And then I realized this is a little more serious than what is happening. And it probably took another week for things to get serious in India. And I think being in Toronto gave me that insight to something that potentially what can happen. And so I think that gives us a vantage point when if you can look at things from two different points. And my parents live in Goa.
Yeah.
When I speak to them, I realize that when you are in a place, you only get one perspective, right?
Yeah.
So I think I am very lucky to be able to look at things from multiple perspectives. And sometimes I can look at the Toronto perspective, where I actually wear my India hat or my Goa hat, and I look at this. So it actually makes it a richer experience. So I have been very lucky to be able to do that.
How is your company dealing with this? Because we have lockdown 1, lockdown 2, now we are talking about 4.0. We don't know whether there is 5.0, and there are different views about lockdowns. How is your company dealing with it? Because your operations are spread across different countries, and different countries are coming up with their own set of rules, regulations, and protocols. So how are you dealing with it? How is your corporate dealing with it?
So I think the key here, and this is something that I also spoke at the Goa Technology Association webinar.
Yeah.
And I think the key, what we have done is we have taken the toughest regulation, take the lockdown of the toughest regulation in any of the country that we operate in, and we have used it. Okay, so what happens is we try to insulate ourselves from the government decisions, right? So if you follow just what the government says, right, then because government can change something immediately. Within midnight, they will change something. So next day, you are just following. So my suggestion and what we have done is to even go higher than the government. When the government first said 2 weeks lockdown, we had already said we will not open till end of April, right? So we went further. We said, we went for 6 weeks right away. So what happened is, if that lockdown went up or down, did not make any difference for us because we planned for higher, longer. So I think that is, and I think that is a key aspect that most businesses have to look at. And I think Goa as well, there's a lot of opportunity now. I mean, and I feel very strongly about this because thanks to the lockdown, people have proven that you don't need to be in Bangalore, you don't need to be in Pune, you don't need to be in those big buildings to actually do IT. Now, if you can stay in your home and do IT and work for Infosys or TCS or anybody, stretch that logic a little more, you can be in Goa and do that. Okay. Now, the interesting part is you don't even need to be in New York. You don't need to be in Silicon Valley. Okay. So here is the opportunity, I think, for places like Goa that have, a good surrounding. It has, place where people want to be. Now you can be where you want to be and continue doing work. So I think this is a huge opportunity. I think everybody in the technology field in Goa, anybody in government, I think this is a huge opportunity they should look at. and no longer, that whole hub, the
Yeah.
Silicon Valley of India, Bangalore, does not really have to be there because they're not in those offices. They're in their homes.
But Vijay, one simple question. Now, many of the corporates now are doing this work from home.
Yes.
From your point of view, from the CEO perspective, how effective it is actually? What are the benefits of it? What are the advantages? What are the disadvantages?
Okay. I think it's a very good question. We've done some analysis, and what we feel is at the end of this, we don't think we are going to go back to office. Okay. Number one, from a very high level perspective, I mean, this may not happen for everybody, but to a lot of businesses like ours in the IT sector, you can do a lot of things from home. You cannot do maybe some collaboration stuff, but right now, like you and I are speaking.
Well, you
It is
very
as
right,
good as-
as you said very rightly, it cannot work in our business.
Yes, but in this particular case, if you and I were discussing something about a computer program, we could still do that now. We are face to face, so that still works. Now the big advantage, I think, is commuting. In most places in Bangalore, I remember once getting at Bangalore airport and going to Electronic City. It took me 3.5 hours one way. So 7 hours in a car, just to Electronic City and back. Now the amount of saving that we can have in commuting, right, is mind-boggling. Now, as a company, and if you have, let's say, 1,000 people or 10,000 people, like some of our IT companies have in Bangalore, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of hours saved, in a week or in a month. Now, how much of those hours, can we actually convert to actually putting to the actual work? Some of those hours can be given back to the employee as their leisure time as well. So I think there is a lot of benefit that's coming out of this. And then what we've seen is, there are early adopters among all of us, people who are adopting to the new normal. They are doing very well. Some people are finding it difficult in their own home, because homes are not designed. Not many homes are designed for home office.
Correct.
Right? And especially if you have, like in my house, my wife works from home, my daughter works from home, my son's doing his online school. So our house, we realize, is not designed for 4 people, is talking into the computer. So, but I think as we go along, we will evolve. Homes will get made. I'm saying people will start designing homes with home offices.
But Vijay, very, very important question is, are you saying that we have changed for good? That this work from home kind of a concept will remain? Even if tomorrow we get a vaccine, it will remain because it works structurally for corporates. Is that what you are saying?
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Yes, and I am saying the people who embrace that sooner will come up winners on the other side. There are a couple of benefits. Commercial real estate is very, very expensive. Now, if you just take off commercial real estate off the balance sheets of a lot of corporates, right? I mean, that is, and then just from a cost perspective, now some of those costs will go to, you might have to reimburse people for internet at their homes. You might have to do something. So there is a lot of costs today that are still not very clear. The rules are not clear as yet. So the full benefit will not come to the corporate. This is something that people should keep in mind. At some point, you will be expected to pay for good telephone connection, good internet at your employees' homes. So the dust will settle. But even when the dust settles, I think it will settle in such a way that it will be a luxury going to the office now. So which means you will not have everybody going to the office. Maybe if it was like if you have a studio, I think even you might have to go to the office. But now I've seen people doing shows from their homes.
Yeah.
Right. So even Chris Cuomo from CNN, he does this thing from home. So there is, I mean, it is possible. I think almost every business, except where you need to be physically present, like manufacturing or any of those ones. I think
you're right. You can do shows from home, but your reporters and your camera person will have to be on field. So that's So there will be certain aspects of certain operations that you can go for work from home, and certain aspects where you have to be on field. But are you saying this is here to stay? Tomorrow, even if we get a vaccine, this won't change because it has cost effectiveness?
Yes, it has cost effectiveness. It also has efficiency, and it works. And I think the big part here is especially countries like India, Goa, for that reason, I think should embrace this for two reasons. There's an opportunity. Okay, we can now go and pitch to companies in New York, companies in London, in Dubai, anywhere in the world, and say, you know what, your guys are anywhere working from home, they can work from Goa, and just it's not that easy, but basically the idea here is that it can be done. It's the same like China broke the barrier, or said you can manufacture everything in China. So I think for India as well, we've already been saying it for many years that all services can be done from India. But I think even more so, we still had an onshore offsite component where you still had a fairly large, I must say, army of people that work for Indian software companies that worked in on-site in the US or in the UK or in Europe or wherever. Now, a lot of that essentially does not need to be there. Today, those same on-site people are working on-site in the US from their homes, right? So very soon, if I were a GE or I were a Bank of America, I'm going to say, I'm paying this guy more money, but he's just because he's sitting in his house in New York, not sitting in his house in Bangalore. So I'm going to go to TCS and say, you know what, why don't you take this guy to your office in Bangalore, let him stay in his house in Bangalore, and give me 80% reduction in costs. So that is going to happen, and soon when those negotiations start happening, I think people are going to say, do we really need that? We might actually need some people, but it will be a small fraction of what we had earlier. So there is opportunity as well.
One important question. We always said that Goa has missed the IT bus. Are you saying this is a this is a time to just pull that bus back into our borders?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now I know there are some political ramifications of this, but I would say I think you have to embrace this. I think right now this is a big opportunity. It's a huge opportunity. Goa, I think is a place where people would like to live, and Goa also, if you just look at it very very selfishly from a COVID-19 perspective, I think we can advertise it. Hey, we're a green zone. We've done better than most other places in India. I think there is an opportunity there. And now, people, we've got to do it carefully. I'm not saying just go and get it, but you do it carefully. But there is an opportunity. If I were, selling this, it's a selling point.
Yeah. One important question is regarding the lockdown. Now we have seen different countries implementing different strategies when it comes to lockdown, and lockdown has a huge economic toll. So when you look at Indian perspective vis-a-vis a UK or a Sweden perspective or the US perspective, which one do you find from the economic point of view most effective, and which balance the life and livelihood debate also?
Yes. Now, that's a very good question. Now, I think there's been a lot of people, much smarter than I have, that are also debating this thing. So, so I would not like to, say what is better or worse, but I think there's a balance that is required.
Yeah. Right now, which country's model looks balanced to you?
I think that, yes, I think right now, India is getting to a balanced approach. We're opening it up. I think there is concerns, right? I also read the Goan newspapers every day. I'm on Facebook. I see a lot of things where people are a little concerned about the opening of the border, but it's inevitable. I tell, a large portion of our office also works in Goa. So when some cases came up in Goa, people were worried, oh, you know what, we're going to red zone. It's the end of the world. I think it is something that we need to be, the green zone does not really mean that you can go and hug everybody on the street or whatever, right? So you have to be very careful. Green zone means that there is a lower risk. There is still a risk. And the big part that people are, I think, not understanding is that 80% of the people that get affected by coronavirus or COVID-19 are asymptomatic. Now, which means that just because you know them and you see them, everybody, and you know their family, does not mean that they are not COVID carriers. So, I think the numbers would look very different if you just take take Santinez where you are in right now,
Yeah.
go around Santinez and test everybody around Santinez. You might be surprised. There will be a lot of people that have
Yeah, I
COVID-19.
spoke to many doctors, and most of them said that if 80% of your population is asymptomatic, that's good. That should give you the confidence that this virus doesn't do the kind of damage that we were afraid of. So, but one important factor is how to strike that balance between lockdown and opening up of the economy. Do you think India is doing it in the right way?
I think right now India is calibrating. I think everybody is touching and feeling. There is no answer. Nobody has done this before.
Yeah.
So
there is no user manual.
Sorry, in Canada, we suddenly now have good weather. Okay, in 1 week it went from like 2 degrees centigrade to 30 degrees centigrade. Now 30 degrees is good temperature and good, nice, warm outside. So people got bored at some point. People, there is fatigue staying at home.
Yeah.
So people went out, and these are educated people. They said, what? Let's, who cares? Let's just go out, enjoy the weather. And then now it was difficult. People had to educate them. How many tickets do you give? If you go to a park and there is 10,000 people, how many people can you ticket? So I think there is a balance that we'll need to strike. Would there be more waves? There could be. Yes, I don't think this will go down straight like that, right? There would be some up and downs, but I think as we go through those up and downs, we will also realize. And I think one thing is, even in that 80% people are good, I think there is a portion of the population that is still very susceptible, like the older population,
Absolutely.
people with some existing. Now those people should be taken care of. I mean, in all these scenarios, right? And I think that is one place in Canada they messed up a little bit. 80% of all the deaths in Canada, I think a large number, I think between 70 to 80% happened in old age homes.
Correct.
So I think that is key. Even if the young people go around doing that. Now, but if among those young people, you have people who work in a nursing home, or you have somebody that is works in a hospital, or you have somebody that you never know, right? I mean, so that is where this thing can. So in a way, some of this is, you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for that 20% people that are susceptible.
Yes, it is your responsibility to protect the vulnerables.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is exactly the point of this. Yes.
Yeah.
Which sometimes we are not articulating it as well, but I think we should say that you're not doing it for yourself. You might not get affected, but there are people that you might come in contact with that might get affected.
Correct.
So
your health is no longer your private issue.
Exactly. Fantastic. I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So another issue which is widely discussed is the job loss in IT sector. And Goa IT Association has estimated to the tune of 30 to 35%. How does it look globally, and whether you agree with this 30 to 35% estimation?
Yeah, some of it, I don't know the exact number, 30, 35. There will be some job losses. There will be some, as I said previously, there will be some opportunities as well. Now, where that whole balance will if I could crystal ball all this, I would probably be much richer. But
we all want that crystal ball right now.
Yes. So I don't think any of us can crystal ball all of this. But definitely there will be some hits. Now I think it's been spoken of already. A lot of what Indian IT does, there is a lot of manual, testing. There is a lot of things that large Indian companies do that might get automated. So the bigger impact, I think, is going to come from automation. Automation will take more jobs than COVID-19. Okay. So automation, however,
because
now,
you are saying because now we will take automation far more seriously and aggressively.
Absolutely. And there is a joke which is going around which says, who has helped digital transformation in companies more? Is it the CEO, CIO, or COVID-19? And overwhelmingly, it is COVID-19. So COVID-19 has made a big difference to how companies are looking at their processes, how they're looking at, and they're making the investments. Right today, people have found out, and as a company, we do a lot of robotic process automation, AI. Until now, we would go and tell people, and they would look at us funny and said, "What are you talking about? Why do I take out people? Why do I automate this?" Now we have got people calling us. They're saying, "Yes, what did you tell us? Can you do that now? How quickly can you do it?" Right? So I think
because now you're saying psychologically, physically, business-wise, also economically, also your target is to keep as less people as possible in a workspace.
That is correct.
And
that is correct. Unfortunately, it is correct. Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, for the human worker, it is correct. But the human worker, I think, will have to learn new things, right? We'll have to learn, and again, based on geography, there will be opportunities that will come by. The Indian human worker now is competing with any human worker in the world. It was partly true, but now with those workers that were working in all the big buildings in New York, right? They're not working in the big buildings in New York anymore. Yeah. They're working in their homes in New Jersey or somewhere, right? So their home in New Jersey, just stretch that a little more, could be their home in Panjim or in Pururim or in anywhere in Goa as well. So I think that's the opportunity. So there is an opportunity, some of it, there could be losses, but I think there could be gains as well. So whoever moves quicker, the more agile, I think it goes back to Darwin, right? Charles Darwin. It's not the strongest that survive. The dinosaurs would have survived otherwise, right? Yeah. It's the most adaptable that will survive.
Correct. A very important question is about the economy. I don't even think we are any longer using the word recession. We are long past that stage. But when you look at Indian economy today, what are the three things that immediately come to your mind?
I think one is, it's still, we always talked about the 1.3 billion people. The 1.3 billion people will still be there, right? Yeah. So in that sense, that is not going anywhere. So we
have our own market.
We will have our own market, yes. So the market will always be there. Yeah. I think, we will have to get people to spend more. I think people have gotten a little bit, so I think India, I think from a V-shaped, I don't know, will it be V-shaped recovery, U-shaped, whatever, W-shaped. But I think as people get more confident, they spend more money, right? Paradoxically, it's not people save more. And at this point, as we come out of this, we need people to spend more. Okay, the more they spend, the more it will help the economy. So somehow we should get people to be more confident. I think the fundamentals are good. 1.3 billion people, yes, but within India as well, there will be automation. So there will be everybody. So there's risks within the economy, right? There's going to be lots of risk, but I think it's a good time to be. Now, if you go back to 100 years back, the Great Depression, after which they had the Roaring 20s. The Roaring 20s is when anything and everything was possible. So I think in that sense, given the fact that we are 100 years past, this could be very short. I truly believe that this might not be as long as people think it to be. Personally, I think, and philosophically, you're like, okay, life is short, right? You're all now almost coming to believe that, hey, you could potentially die anytime. So why not travel the world? Why not do what you want to do, right? I think there may be a people, they might, I personally think, I travel.
You're saying our way of looking at life will change.
Yes. And when you do that,
and our spending habits will change according to that.
Yes, you will want to experience more, which in most cases means you will spend more, which is good.
Yeah.
Right. So I think, but we should get to that. I mean, but I don't think people will go to saying, I have got nirvana, let me just sit in one place, right? That is I was talking to
Kirit Bhai Maganlal a few days back. about how his superstores are responding and how people are responding. So he said a very nice thing. He said the person who enters my superstore is the same guy who used to come earlier. The customer in him has changed. So I think that's exactly what even you are saying.
Yes.
My last question, what do you expect from the government right now? We have seen packages, we have heard some mighty figures, but practically, because you are on ground, you are in the field, what are the two things that you expect your government to do?
Okay. Now I am on both sides of this equation. Okay. In Canada, the government has given a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm almost thinking, if we get people used to so much money, when you stop it, what is going to happen? Okay.
Then also it's a problem.
That's a problem. Okay. Now in India, we've kind of not given much. We've given some things in the packages, but India as a whole, I think
We are at the other extreme of the problem.
Other extreme of the problem, yes.
Yeah.
So where can we? What the benefits should be? Now, I think if some of the benefits can be provided in a manner that's easy to get, right? Maybe everybody pays GST, right? Everybody pays income tax. If there could be rebates on something like that, it's easy for everybody to get. Now, I was part of the Goa Technology Association,
Yeah.
And some people actually said, we've got to read through this and we've got to have a committee to find out how do we actually get some benefits out of this. It's a little complicated, how to figure this out. Okay, if you need a committee to figure it out, it means it is complicated. So I think it must be an easy way. Give everybody.
And probably with a committee, we will never figure it out.
Yes, but easy way is give everybody 10% of their GST back or something, right? Something that everybody in the economy gets it, right? It is just straight. That is probably incentive for people who are not paying GST to pay GST. But something that is easy. We really don't have to go and fill up forms or anything.
Yes.
Standard, normal.
Yeah.
I think something like that. I think could be something. Because anything else in a country as large like India, you will have people that are happy and not happy. It will be very difficult to implement. And I think that would be my suggestion. Is do something that everybody gets it, right? Everybody gets it, and it's easy across the economy.
Vijay, thanks a lot for talking to us. We shall do this exercise probably 15 days later again, because every 15 days things are changing. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Luxury. It changes even quicker.
So thanks a lot for talking to us. Hopefully, I shall meet you in Goa the moment you are back, and I hope that's very soon. So thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for talking to us. Prudent. Namaskar.